Hey everyone, welcome to our channel Tech AI Hub. Today, we're diving into a really interesting topic that a lot of people get wrong. Do copyrights in films and songs really expire after 60 years? You've probably heard this a bunch of times, but trust me, there's a lot more to the story. So, let's break it down and find out if that 60-year limit is actually a thing. Alright, first things first. Copyright laws are the way we protect creative works like movies, music, and books. It's the law that gives the creator ownership over their work for a certain period of time. The idea is to balance protecting the artist's rights while also letting society eventually access these works once the copyright expires. Now, there's been a lot of confusion around how long that protection lasts, especially when it comes to older songs and films. A lot of people think it's 60 years, but is it? Here's where things get a little tricky. A lot of folks believe that copyrights automatically expire after 60 years, but that's not the case, at least not across the board. Let's see why. The evolution of copyright law. Copyright law has changed a lot over time. Originally, works were protected for just a few decades after the creator's death. But then in 1998, the US passed the Copyright Term Extension Act, and suddenly, the protection got extended to 70 years after the creator's death. But here's where things start to differ depending on the type of work and when it was created. What's the deal with movies? When it comes to movies, the situation gets a little more complicated. Under the US Copyright Act of 1976, films created after January 1, 1978 are protected for 70 years after the creator's death. But, if a film was made before 1978 and the copyright was renewed, it's usually protected for 95 years from its original release date. So, if you're thinking old movies are free for the taking after 60 years, think again. So what about music? Songs follow similar rules but have their own quirks. For tracks recorded after 1978, they're protected for the life of the creator plus 70 years. For older songs, those created before 1978, the duration can vary, but generally, these works are protected for 95 years after they were published. So that classic tune you love? Yeah, it might still be under copyright. What happens when copyrights expire? Well, that's when the work enters the public domain, meaning anyone can use it without permission. This is why we see so many older works, like books and movies, being remixed, re-released, or even restored to their original glory. Factors that can change copyright expiry dates. It's not just about the years. It's about several factors that affect when a work enters the public domain. Where the work was created. Different countries have different laws. For example, the US might protect something for 95 years, but other countries have different timelines. Copyright renewal. If the copyright was renewed, it could last much longer. Type of work. Films, songs, and books all have different rules. Films might have a longer duration, and music can be treated differently depending on when it was recorded. Corporate ownership. If a corporation owns the work, like a big studio or record label, copyright could last even longer, up to 95 years. Date of creation. Works created before 1978 are treated differently than those created after that date. Do other countries follow the 60-year rule? Yeah, that's more of a myth. Countries have their own laws about copyright, and the rules vary quite a bit. For example, in the US, it's typically 70 years after the creator's death for individuals and 95 years for corporate works. In the UK, it's also 70 years after the creator's death. In the European Union, it's the same deal, 70 years after death for most creative works. So, no, the 60-year rule isn't a global standard. What does this mean for modern creators? Okay, so the 60-year limit is mostly a myth, but what does that mean for today's artists? For modern creators, extended copyright protection can help protect their works and ensure they continue to earn revenue. But it also means that older works take longer to enter the public domain, which can be a bummer for those of us who want to use classic songs or movies in new ways. Technology and copyrights. The digital age problem. With the rise of digital media, old works are now more accessible than ever. Films, songs, and books that were once hard to find are now just a click away. But this raises an important question: should copyright laws be updated for the digital age? Works that have been digitized often continue to generate income long after they might have expired. Some people argue that we should keep works protected for longer to preserve cultural history, especially since technology makes it easier to reach people worldwide. So, is the 60-year limit still a thing? Not really. Copyrights last much longer than that, especially for films and music. The actual length of time depends on a lot of factors like the creator's death, whether the copyright was renewed, and what type of work it is. As we move forward, copyright laws might continue to evolve, especially with all the changes in technology and the way we access media. But for now, the 60-year rule is more of a myth than a reality. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and leave a comment down below letting me know your thoughts. Until next time, bye.